Muncie, Indiana, checking out 5101 Sierra. The weather has already been checked. Now a good pilot does his walk around. Checking the oil here. Checking for birds' nests, believe it or not. Check that all-important stall warning. Crank the old engine up, and away we go. First we call ground, then tower. Sierra looks like a graceful bird in the air. Here we are in St. Louis, Missouri, at Lambert Field. Kind of exciting to stand out there and watch the big guys take off. This is heading south down the Mississippi River to New Orleans. We stopped for fuel in Greenwood, Mississippi. Nice big runway out in the middle of nowhere. You don't want to light a cigarette around here. Well, we're checking our route. I'm going to go in and talk to the FAA about the weather. These clouds almost look like cotton candy. I always wanted to get out and walk on one. We had a tunnel all the way south. This is New Orleans. Quite a city. The old and the new together. This is looking out our hotel windows. Basin Street Blues. Cars everywhere. The French quits, even on Sunday. They do have some streets blocked off for just pedestrians. The French Quarter still has its beauty. This is Brownsville, Texas, just before we went across the line into Mexico. And this is flying over northern Mexico. Kind of frightening in a way, but no sweat. fly more with an ADF than VOR down here. And you have to buy a Ramsa card. This is Monterey International Airport. This Ramsa card is like our use tax in the United States. This senor came out to help us with customs, which we needed a lot of help on with our pidgin Spanish. Very modern airport, all the conveniences. Took us 2 hours to go through customs, but in a way the experience was worth it. Had to find a home for Sierra, so we had to taxi her down with all the other planes. This is Monterey, a big industrial city with its cathedral and plaza, and its many, 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 many people. Holiday Inn. And the beautiful pool. About this time, we were considering going on further south in Mexico. Here we are in the train going to Mexico City. Just recently, they had a very, very serious accident right about this area, near Saltillo, Mexico. This is an overnight trip from Monterey to Mexico City. And this is the Cathedral at Guadalupe, where they walk on their knees to give homage to the Virgin Mary. Gorgeous old church. At the left there, you can see the basilica is sinking. Mexico City is built on a lake bed. Here you can see a few of the grateful on their knees. This is exit to the church. The beautiful roses and statues in the back. Would you believe blessing a car? Yes, even this. Cars are so expensive in Mexico that every little bit helps. Here's a little odd fellow, an alcoholic burro who loves his cerveza. He kind of walked eating of the sugar cane after this. These are the great pyramids of the moon and sun. These are the Toltec and Aztec ruins outside of Mexico City. Absolutely awesome to think of a civilization that could build these things without the modern machinery of nowadays. Cortez and his conquistadors found all these things. Everything is laid out like a modern city. This is at the top of one of the pyramids, looking across the valleys. We weren't even all the way up on top yet. a very, very advanced civilization. This was the king's house. These are the original paintings on the wall, preserved. Many architects view these and wonder. A lot of tourists come here every year, but many Mexicans come to see their heritage also. You can see the different pyramids where they did their sacrifices. We took a tour of Mexico City, and this is the upper class residential section. And this is the Olympic site. Olympic Games were held here. And this is the University of Mexico, Universidad de Mexico. And this is the absolutely fantastic pool at the university. While we were there, we watched some of the Mexican Olympians working out. They have a school of medicine and architecture and art, English, the same kind of things they do in the United States. And this is the flower market in Mexico City. Beautiful colors, every imaginable flower. The Mexicans love their flowers. This is the famous Museum of Architecture and Anthropology. One could get lost in here for weeks on end. It has the history of the Mexican country from... They have exhibits of Mayans, Aztecs, Toltecs, and modern man as well. Here we are in a Sidley going to Chetumal, the southernmost town in Mexico. Yes, that's snow on the mountain. We fly over very, very desolate jungle. And here we are coming in. That was the Caribbean. 2 flights a week into Chetumal. Once you get there, you're there. Those clear, placid lakes. We were kind of looking for native fish, but there were too many people swimming at the time. We did find some darters. In fact, the little girls and boys were the water was very warm and very pleasant, slightly on the salty side. These two were they just caught them in the jungle. We definitely were hung up on each other. This was the most fantastic sight, 40 feet deep, and it looked like someone had opened a bottle of blue ink and poured it in. This was our, quote, hotel at Chetumal. This is the border of Mexico and British Honduras. And this is the British Honduras Customs. Here we are in Belize City, in now the country of Belize, which was British Honduras. We're about ready to take a safari 200 miles inland in search of the Red Devil. Here we are looking at some fire mouths along the side. Mr. Meister is netting some silver sides, what they call silver sides, what we call tetras or sherrisons. Beautiful silver little fellas. We'd give our eye teeth to have them in our aquariums up here. The gentleman in the back was an ambassador from some South American country, and he was catching fire mouths. It was raining so badly down there. Here's a good example of the road situation. Here we are again looking for our fish. We're putting breadcrumbs in that net. Oops, it looks like we're having a little trouble here. 200 miles away from nowhere. And a miss in the engine going up and down those mountains and around those curves. Those old Land Rovers, though, are something else. Here we are casting for fish. These most beautiful lagoons and things. The only problem are the botflies and mosquitoes. Now, this is the #1 highway in British Honduras. Feast your eyes, road builders. You feel like a milkshake when you come back from this. On our way home, in the downpour, we found a spot under a bridge. And by golly, we found some of the most beautiful swordtails and mollies you've ever seen. This is all natural for them. Mr. Meister got very excited about one molly he found. It's a new speckled variety, a Spinop or Yucatan molly. We found swords up to 6 inches. The males hadn't even developed their tail yet. It was worth it. The rivers were too high to catch any of the cichlids, though. We caught one little cichlid. We think it was a Jack Dempsey. And it rained, and it rained, and it rained. This is Belize, the capital of British Honduras. Cars bring quite a premium down here. They don't last very long either with those roads. 2 roads in the whole country. One going west and one going north and south. This is the harbor of Belize. These are all shrimp boats. The population of British Honduras is all Negro. They've come from Jamaica and different countries like that. They're mainly their ancestors were mainly slaves. And they all have that wonderful Oxford English. Hey, Mon. Hey, Mon, lend me a quarter, Mon. Avocados are 4 cents here. Now we're on our way back to Mexico. If you're flying in a light plane, the best thing to do is follow the coastline. But these big Sidleys and the jets, of course, take the shortest distance. Cockpits are all open. They don't have the trouble of hijacking down here, because they all can go to Cuba if they want. You still listen to the engines rather hard, and those mountains are pretty rugged. This is beautiful Acapulco. However, the bay is beginning to get pretty polluted now. It still has to be a fantastic sight to look out your hotel window and see this beautiful bay. Cruise ship in. We took a little safari outside of Acapulco to see what the country folk were like. It seemed the country people were better off than the ones in the city. They had their cows and their pigs and their breadfruit. The children smiled a lot. Here comes a Mexican cowboy. How's this for a sunset? This was our hotel from the beach. And notice the soldiers marching back from Mass. They march to and they march from. Testing out the waters of Acapulco. Well, we'd been watching for a week this parachuting, so we decided to try our hand at it, and I got elected first. Quite a thrill. You can see forever. I kind of misread my signals from the ground and made a 3-point landing. Almost in the water, not quite. I had him jumping though. This was the marina at Acapulco. Here we're trying our luck at sail fishing. We saw one, but we can't brag about it because we didn't hook it. We were 20 miles out. It's a pretty long piece. That was the Mexican Navy. This was the presentation of the Aztec flyers. A most impressive spectacle. The costumes were very real, down to the last feather. Those are the three gods on the bottom half there. And these are the Aztec flyers coming down. They hang by their heels by a leather thong, and they're 80 feet up in the air, and they spin down. It's a beautiful spectacle. And here they come. Well, we're leaving beautiful Acapulco, going back to Monterey to pick up Sierra. Felt kind of good getting back in old Sierra again. The first night out of Mexico, we stopped in San Antonio, and here is the Alamo. Beautiful gardens, very well manicured. This is all kept up by the ladies of the San Antonio Historical Society. These are the Southern Rockies. We're on our way to California now. Must have stayed on course for once. Had a good navigator. Sierra seemed to do better if I left her alone. You really see the countryside this way. Here we are in Hollywood, Hollywood and Vine. This is where the Merv Griffin Show originates from. Now we head north. These are the coastal mountains of California. Very rugged, very beautiful. And here's one of the reservoirs for the water for Los Angeles. And here we are in good old Oakland. The Golden Gate Bridge. The dahlias were absolutely breathtaking. You can see the fog bank starting to come in. Here's the famous cable car. Note the pyramid building. This is Chinatown. Wall-to-wall people and wall-to-wall cars. And this is the pier at San Francisco. The Embarcadero. This looks like Fisherman's Wharf. The mayor's famous restaurant. This is the Bay Bridge from Coit Tower. Most impressive scene. Another look at the Embarcadero. Ever present, the fog banks. Again, we head north. More than ever, you can see the phenomenon of land and sea breezes. Off in the distance, you can see Mount Hood, over 100 miles away. Here we are in Victoria at the Empress, one of the old magnificent hotels. These are the gardens in Victoria called Birch's Gardens. Every imaginable flower available. All done in a formal planting. They love this climate. This is the Rose Garden at Birches Gardens. And the Venetian Gardens with tree roses. Then we began our eastward trek over the Cascades and the Canadian Rockies. Pretty rugged stuff. We were flying at 11,000 feet, and there were peaks on either side of us with snow on them. And this is Banff and Lake Louise. Lake Louise was formed by a glacier. This is Government House and the gardens in Banff. Delphiniums and perennials unequal. These are the Great Plains of Canada, Saskatchewan. It seems that they grow all the wheat for Russia and China on these plains. We had a beautiful rainbow following us on either side. You can see the rain coming. Here we are in Winnipeg. This is our custom stop at International Falls. From International Falls, we flew across part of Lake Superior to Escanaba, and then across Lake Michigan to Traverse City. Here we are coming up on Escanaba to start our lake watch. The engine didn't even sound rough. We sure looked a lot at all the instruments though. Land ho. Good old Traverse City. Gave Sierra a love pat. Relaxing in the new tree house. Little bit of paradise. We didn't catch anything in Acapulco or British Honduras, so we tried Lake Michigan. All the fishermen say this is the best place to fish. The two pros. A catch of smallmouth bass. Nani's beautiful garden at Northport Point, Michigan. There are roses 20 years old in this bed. Apparently the water had been all the way up to the roses this last winter. The lake has been its highest for 7 years. Of all the places we'd been on our trip, this was the loveliest. Way back to Muncie now from Traverse City. The only weather we hit was around Kalamazoo. Gears down, looks like we're coming in for our final landing. Landing 3-2. "17,000 miles and home safe."